who knows what's out there that he has, created havoc in their lives.
For months, our ABC 15 investigators have been trying to get answers about former Phoenix police officer Anthony Armour, a proven liar whose testimony sent this grandmother to prison for 22 months. But lying, not the worst thing he's accused of. Multiple women have accused Armour of sexual assault, including a fellow officer. And now the Phoenix Police Department is trying to rewrite history by sanitizing and minimizing the serious nature of the allegations against him. In tonight's full disclosure investigation, experts tell our Dave Biscobing why this is so concerning.
Confronted her.
You're looking at police officer Anthony Armour on the stand, a Phoenix cop with a long history of complaints, documented lies, and multiple sex assault allegations. They kept him around.
Right. The system is so corrupt that they don't care what they have on the street, and that's obvious.
We interviewed one woman who says in 2015, Armour sexually assaulted her during a traffic stop. And then we obtained an internal memo revealing a fellow officer in 2010 reported after a party drinking. She lost consciousness, and when she awoke, she noticed Armour was having sex with her. Now, before our story, Phoenix police ignored our request for comment about those allegations. Then after, they sent a string of conflicting responses. And it's because of those responses, we interviewed 3 leading voices on sexual violence. Scott Berkowitz with RAIN, Laura Palumbo with the National Sexual Violence Resource Center, and Andrea Ritchie, a police misconduct attorney, researcher, and author. How good are police departments at handling these cases? Good, bad, very bad?
They're terrible. The police departments are terrible at investigating themselves when it comes to any kind of offense. They're particularly terrible at investigating themselves when it comes to offenses of sexual misconduct and sexual violence.
Back to the memo. It's clearly labeled allegation, sex assault. 5 days after our story, the department belatedly confirmed the memo, saying a female officer filed a complaint saying Armour sexually assaulted her, but then a day later sent a new email with a, quote, clarification. The claim did not involve sex assault. The female officer filed a complaint that Armour had an inappropriate sexual interaction with her. Do you think that is an accurate portrayal of the allegation? A man is having sex with a woman while she's sleeping. Inappropriate sexual interaction?
Absolutely not. It's under most states, if not all states, rape.
So what do you think that says about Phoenix police that they're now trying to come to me 10 years later and even rewrite the history of their own memo telling me that it's differently? I mean, does that signal a culture, corruption, trust problem? I
mean, it certainly signals that the Phoenix Police Department is explicit in rape culture, which becomes very concerning in terms of the fact that they're also the agency that's charged with investigating and presumably responding to rape.
Here's what RAIN and NSVRC have to say about the newly made up phrase, inappropriate sexual interaction. Is there a danger in doing that, into minimizing or kind of sanitizing what we call these crimes?
Yeah, I think that if we're going to take them seriously, we've got to call them what they are.
It sends such a silencing message to survivors of sexual assault that what happened to them was in some way less serious or less harmful. And that's exactly the fear that is keeping survivors from coming forward.
Jayana Anderson is the woman who says Armour groped her pubic region and fondled her breast during a traffic stop. She filed a complaint, but waited 5 months and did it with her attorney.
It was the true fear of just being around people that I knew I couldn't trust.
I mean, is that an understandable fear?
It's a very real fear.
The 5-month wait, also a fact Phoenix pointed out in a short emailed summary about the case. And they made sure they put that in. What does that say to you?
Well, it certainly says to me they're trying to discredit her. That's a very common discrediting tactic. You see it across every Me Too story.
Phoenix didn't substantiate Gianna's complaint or the complaint by the fellow officer.
Sexual violence by law enforcement is the second most frequently reported form of police misconduct after excessive force. But it's certainly second most frequently reported, but not the second most frequently talked about.
That's across the country, not specifically Phoenix.
It's also a predictor, and it often happens in parallel to, because if you are an officer and you think that you can abuse your power to the point of sexually extorting, harassing, or violating someone, then it's really not a lot of steps from there to tasing someone in the genitals, to shooting them in the back, to shooting them as they're in their bed sleeping, as Breonna Taylor was shot. And lo and behold, that officer had been accused of sexual misconduct not once but twice before.
Now, a final and important point here. Gianna Anderson is suing. There's a lawsuit. So we just found out attorneys for the city have asked a judge if they can subpoena us for our raw interview footage with Gianna. We'll fight it, and here's why. The First Amendment and freedom of the press. See, giving up raw and unpublished material like that would intimidate victims and whistleblowers from speaking out, from revealing important information about corruption governments like Phoenix want to keep secret. See, subpoenas like this are almost never granted for those reasons. The law is clear. So it's concerning that A, the city's attorneys think they're entitled to a sex assault victim's raw interview, and B, that they're okay spending your taxpayer money to try and get it. I'm investigator Dave Biscobing, ABC 15, Arizona.